Hi, folks. Welcome to Armed Lutheran Radio, a show about guns, hunting, competitive shooting, the natural right of self-defense, and what God's Word says about the issues surrounding gun rights and gun ownership. I'm your host, Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, and this is episode number 332. Welcome to our online hangout for September 2022. I don't know whether you can hear the dinging in the background as members are queuing up to join. But thank you to those of you who are listening on Sunday or watching later after the fact. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making Armed Lutheran Radio a part of your week again this week. Once a month, we hang out with the members of the Reformation Gun Club, the good folks who help us keep going, who help keep the lights on. Today's shout out goes out to Kevin from Fairfax, Missouri. Another Kevin from Marion, Iowa, Dan from Indian Trail, North Carolina, who is a regular on these shows, Vincent from Tulare, California, John from Spokane, Washington, Tony from Little Elm, Texas, Eric from Buckeye, Ohio, Calroy from Boron, California, Frank from Lake City, Michigan, and Catherine from Casper, Wyoming. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for helping to support the show. I really do appreciate all of the support that we get from our Reformation Gun Club members. Armed Lutheran Radio is listener funded, and that means that we don't have any advertising. We don't have any sponsors. We rely on these good folks, the members of the Reformation Gun Club, to help us do what we do and keep on going. If you would like to find out more, if you would like to see what all of this stuff is all about, what all the benefits are available, and come join us for future hangouts. We do this once a month. Go and check out armedlutheran.us/gun club. The lowest membership level, the friend of the show membership, is just $15.17 per year. That comes out to about $1.26 a month. So dig out the change in your couch cushions and come join us. We would love to have you. And as you might have guessed, based on last week's episode 331, YouTube took us down last week within 4 hours of putting up that episode. So this week we're going to be on Utreon and on Rumble. So look for us there for future live shows. Before we get started, I do want to mention Hurricane Ian that is making landfall as we speak in the Gulf Coast of Florida around, I think it came ashore around Fort Myers with a wind speed of something like 150 miles an hour. The eye of the storm was 40 miles across when it came onto land. So that has resulted, as of this recording, the last thing I saw was about 1.5 million people out of power so far. Storm surge, according to Governor DeSantis, was roughly around 12 feet. And by the time most of you are watching or listening to this, the devastation will be, of course, better understood. Reports of lives lost will be out, and so we'll know more about what Ian has wreaked on the southern southeastern United States. I think by the time this goes live on Sunday, the storm is estimated to move into the Carolinas. So our prayers are with the people in Florida first and foremost, and then of course Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, everybody who's in the path of this storm and who, by the time you hear this, have already been affected by it. We'll be praying for you, and I hope you, our listeners, will join me in praying for those people and being prepared to contribute to organizations that will be moving into those affected areas to help out. So make sure that if you're in those areas, God bless you. We certainly hope that you're safe, or that you've gotten to safety, and we'll be continuing to pray for recovery in the coming days. Let's get some folks in here. We've got a bunch. William is with us. Justin Hover is with us. There's William. Says they're connecting to audio. There we go. Where are you now?
In Maine. We're in Bar Harbor.
Every week it's somewhere interesting, somewhere new.
Well, every month.
Oh, that's true. That's true. It's been one of those weeks. I don't even know what day it is. I looked up and I was like, oh yeah, it's the end of the month. I probably need to do an online hangout. Justin is back with us for the second straight week. Justin, welcome. Let's see. David is here and Guillaume. Mike Soost is here. Mike has not been with us before. Let's see. David is back. And let's see. Let's get Guillaume in here. And Ed Fuhrmann, who's
9:45 dentist appointment. I know.
Dentist.
Who's got the dentist appointment?
Is it 9:45?
9:45. Don't forget. And Ed is on camera this week. Awesome. He's usually just sort of skulking about and listening in on us. It's good to have you here. And Daniel's iPad. Daniel. I have to get my membership list and see who we're talking
No,
about.
I shouldn't.
Oh, you have got so many people on the call tonight.
Oh, I know. And the pastor's coming too.
I have to leave early.
All right.
Wait, so Guillaume, your last name
Hey.
is Williams. So you're basically William Williams.
One in the way. Who's in the waiting room? Daniel's iPad. Who is? Let's see.
Holy moly.
I've got
2.
4 Daniels. So it's either, I think Dan Velt can't be here. He's usually here. He can't be here tonight. I think Dan Rushing in North Carolina said he could not make it. So it's either Dan Young or Daniel Freeman. We'll find out here in a minute if he can.
Well,
It's already
Freeman's in.
here.
Freeman's already in.
Oh, there you are. Okay, I saw Freeman and didn't even recognize. How are you, sir?
I am well.
And you've brought a something to share with the group, I'm sure. All right, cool. Well, let's go around the horn and catch up with everybody and see what everyone's been up to here. Daniel's iPad is pinging again. Is that you, Pastor Freeman? Is that?
No, my mother taught me not to join cults.
Okay, good. All right. It is Dan Rushing. All right, there he is. He's been out shooting IDPA recently, which is a lot more than I can say for myself. All right, so William, you're in Maine. What in the heck are you doing in Maine right now?
Early anniversary trip. We always wanted to do fall to see the leaves. And I mean, our anniversary is not till December, so that's why it's early. But we have friends in Bentonville that we the wife sold us our house, and we've become really good friends with the family. And we decided the parents needed a kid-free weekend to go and spend some time together. So on Friday, we're going to jump on a schooner, the 4 of us, and have a few days out floating in the harbor out in Maine.
Nice.
So we came a couple days early. We just did Acadia National Park today. Did a 7.5 mile hike. Had lunch out there. It was good. So now it's relaxing time, and we're going to enjoy some adult beverages and
Nice.
finish up the movie.
We'll get to that in just a moment. Cool.
Eventually.
Justin, how about you? What have you been up to since last we were together? You joined last month and made your first online hangout last month, and so here we are. What have you been up to?
Oh, just staying busy. We're here at the end of the month, so it's always the rush, get as many pistols out the door as we can, and been this week sat right next to a guy who had to burn the Loctite out of 50 pistols, so that's all I smell right now.
Oh, yum. That sounds great. When all right, I'll remember that next time I think how crummy my job is, I'll think about the smell of burning Loctite and like, okay, it's not so bad.
Oh, it's all right. It means we got to open the door the entire time, but then it's almost like, it's opening the door on the lion cage, and it's like, oh yeah, guys are taking longer lunches for some reason.
That's because they all got unexpectedly high.
Right.
We
Loctite.
Yeah, it was off a bunch of German guns. So one of the other Smiths commented, it's like, do you think they're still angry about the wars?
Right.
And that's why there's so much in them.
Oh my gosh. All right, David, what about you?
Oh, that's good. No, I'm there. Just doing the normal thing. Went and did volunteered for a Glock match the other day.
Ooh. Those are fun. I have not done one of those in years. That was my introduction to gun competition was GSSF, and
Yeah.
those were a lot of fun.
We volunteer at 3 to 5 of them a year.
Nice.
And so we did it's called the Gunny Match. It's was in Talladega, Alabama.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Was it at CMP?
Yeah, it's at the CMP facility. It's
that
an
is
awesome
such
facility.
a cool place.
Yeah, it is. If you've never shot there, it's really awesome. Their long range, their 600-yard range is phenomenal as well. You got to qualify at 100 to do 200, qualify at 2 to do 3 and 6. So
I didn't get to shoot there. I was there a couple of years ago for, gosh, how long has it been now? 3 years ago, I guess, for the IDPA National Championship. I was covering it for the other podcast, and Sergeant Bill was out there shooting, and some other gun club members were out there shooting, and was just an amazing facility. Standing up on top of the hill up at the clubhouse, looking down on the rifle shooting ranges and all of the statuary that's up there at the top that's made out of M1 Garands is really cool.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal place. That's the largest Glock match in the country. The next largest is coming up November 3rd and 4th in Savannah, Georgia. The guy who runs that match was someone that we introduced to the sport.
Oh, so cool.
Was sort of really thrilled at what he's done in the last decade or so.
Nice. Very cool. All right, Mike, you're up next. Your first time visiting with us for our online hangout with this bunch of reprobates. Introduce yourself to the gang and kind of give us an idea what do you do for a living and what have you been up to lately?
So my name is Mike Soost. I live in Janesville, Minnesota. I've listened to the podcast for a couple of years now. I work for my parent company is Corteva AgroScience, but I work for Pioneer Seed Corn at the research center, about 20 minutes away. So we are gearing up for harvest, which will start very soon.
Right.
Which is a good season. It's probably the best time of the year. It is. You get to see all your work.
No lack of work.
No, but you get to see all your work, your hard work, but you see all the data come in. And so anyway, because it's R&D, so we do a lot of stuff there.
Cool.
So anyway, I forgot what your last question was.
I think you answered all of them at the same time, which is awesome.
Okay.
I like efficiency. That works out. All right.
And what I do on the side? Oh, I know. It's like what else do? I'm the chair of the board of my elders, and we are in the middle of a call process at my church. So that keeps me busy when I'm not at work.
Oh, I imagine so. All right.
So yeah.
All right, Daniel Freeman. This is your first venture into these waters?
Daniel.
It is because Saturday night is kind of a really busy time for me. So Wednesday night worked better.
Well, we've had our biggest turnouts since switching to Wednesdays because I know you and the other pastors are busy prepping for a very important day, so it makes it tough. I'm glad you were
during Advent.
Oh
yeah, right.
Yeah,
it won't work well in Advent or Lent. But.
No, we may have to maybe Tuesdays or Thursdays or something crazy. We'll do something different. All right, what have you been up to lately?
Oh, work and did a little bit of traveling. Just I spent the last week up on the Olympic Peninsula chasing elk, trying to put a pointy stick in an elk, but just barely even saw any elk. So it was a rough season. So it's been super dry here, which is not common for the Pacific Northwest. So their behavior was very changed by the weather, I think.
Probably. This is cool. We've got 3 of the contributors to volume 2 of this book in our call tonight. That's really cool. All right, Pastor Williams, how are you? And your buddy is with you again.
Yeah, we can't watch the whole thing tonight because wife's going out of town tomorrow, so I gotta. But yeah, last week I saw that the most people in social media are on TikTok.
The lives of members of
I couldn't believe it. So I was like, I'm gonna give TikTok a try today. 3 videos today. One on don't judge. One on the rapture that was supposed to have taken place, and one on canon.
You've got some background noise that is interfering with your audio, I think.
Yeah, somebody has their microphone on. It's up in the background. But I tell you, I got more likes and videos and comments and nothing negative on TikTok on those 3 subjects in the last 12 hours than I've ever got on Facebook or Instagram. I was quite pleased.
All right.
That's where everybody under 30 is. So it's like, okay. And they're getting a lot of bad theology over there apparently too. So.
Oh yeah. I have no doubt.
I decided to make invade it and see what I can do to make things a little better.
Good deal. Bringing a little common sense and good theology to the what I started to say millennials. Are they? They're not millennials, are they? What's the current bunch?
It's Z, I think now.
Oh gosh.
Well, I guess it's the 30 and under. Everybody 22 and under is millennials. I guess still, right? So if you're 20, then I guess you might have like moved into Z.
I'm feeling really old right now. Speaking of social media, did you notice for those of you who listened to episode 331, it lasted 4 hours on YouTube and they took it down. Yeah. 4 whole hours. It took them 13 months or 12 months for them to get episode 287. It took them 4 hours to get the new one.
Well, now that you're on their radar, it'll come much faster.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So this video is going to be on Rumble and Utreon. It's not going to be on YouTube. Ed, how are you? It's good to see you. You usually, like I said, you're usually sort of hanging around in the background listening to the proceedings. Good to have you join us. How have you been? Introduce yourself to the bunch and tell us a little bit about what you do and what you've been up to lately.
Well, hanging out in the background and listening is probably due to my career. I'm a retired U.S. Navy submariner, and so lurking about is something that kept us alive as a survival skill. Also, as an amateur radio operator and shortwave listener, I've always been much more of a listener than a chatter, gathering intelligence from everybody else and just pitching in every once in a while, the way I've been doing here. Only firearms related thing directly right now. This weekend, I'll be going downstate. I'm right now in the People's Republic of Illinois.
Oh no.
Going downstate a couple hours to pick up my latest raffle winning Browning Maxim shotgun.
Oh.
That I got from a fire department raffle. And I've still got to decide if I want to keep that or plead for store credit down there and try to get a defensive pistol or two, which I'd get much more use out of than a sporting shotgun, given my current circumstances.
Yeah.
By day right now, I'm in a second career. I teach at Great Lakes Naval Station. I teach at the fire control and electronics technicians A schools. Basically, we catch the young technicians when they get out of boot camp and they're going through my school for their first technical school. And I teach radar and communication electronics. So we make a basic technician out of them. Then they go to the east or left coast to get their specialty school. So they have a job when they get to their ship.
Nice.
And then other than that, it's only a couple weeks until the first frost date around here. So I'm canning and preserving produce while we're still getting it in. And taking care of my special needs son and getting along day by day.
Very good. Very good. Padre, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Still on the right side of the soil.
What I want to thank you for
The other side's better.
Well, that's a good point.
Not for my family, but for me, definitely.
Wait, where's your family going after you die? Or after they die?
Well, yeah, but then they got to go through that whole mourning and grieving thing, and
Yeah, that's a process.
What have you been up to lately besides writing an article for the book?
Not a whole lot. Well,
I'm not picking on him because he submitted it. That was not a jab. That was because he worked on the article, got it submitted this week, and I am so grateful for your submission.
it's finished. No,
And it
actually,
confused me.
that wasn't my fault, though.
I know that was totally my fault. He quoted a different verse at the beginning of his article, and I thought he was writing about that verse instead of the one I assigned him. And being nice, I didn't say anything about it, and I thought, okay, we'll just shift over and do that article. And then I asked him if he could address the one that I originally submitted to him or asked him for, and he was like, "That's what I was writing about." And I had to look at it again. I was like, "Oh yeah." So never mind.
It's life's been crazy. 3 kids playing sports is just, it's crazy, but soccer ends next week.
Commie ball.
Yes, communist kickball. My daughter's playing goalie and she's done a fantastic job. She did not play soccer before last year. She had maybe 2 or 3 games during the spring where she was goalie.
Right.
And she started out this season as goalie and JV, and then the varsity coach approached her earlier this week and said, "Hey, you're the most improved player I've ever seen. I can't wait to see what you do next year and the year after." So she's really excelling at that.
Awesome.
Yeah. But, I had a lady in the hospital in Rochester. So I went out there 3 times, which it's 110 miles one way.
Ooh.
So the mileage check will be nice, but I put a lot of miles on the car. I have to ask Mike, I'm assuming you're from Trinity Janesville. You're a member at Trinity Janesville?
Correct.
Have I seen you at any of the sports games there before? Because you look awful familiar.
Probably not.
Okay.
I don't have any kids in school, but
Okay.
I'm around a fair amount.
Okay.
So
I get over there every once in a while for games. We'll have to get together sometime since you're only 45 miles away from me.
correct. And if you're in town, you're 6 blocks away at a game.
Very good.
Very cool.
So, I've been the most recent thing is I'm changing carry firearms, moving up to a P365.
Oh.
So I had originally gotten that was what I was intending to get. Went into the store. They had the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus on sale for $400. And I got it. You know, the one that was on display.
Right.
The trigger felt really nice. I get it home. It's one that's hasn't been taken out of the box yet. And the trigger was gritty. And I said, no thanks.
You want the
Turns
one that
out-
all the customers have been,
Yeah,
fondling and dry firing.
they must have smoothed it out for me. But Smith and Wesson evidently has a problem with not polishing the striker block, and so that striker isn't that recess in there for this the striker safety isn't smooth, and so it was just gritty. Fortunately, I try to buy everything from a store that has a return policy for firearms,
Right.
which is fantastic, and went with the P365, going with a Wilson Combat grip module. And I know it comes with night sights, but I made the mistake of buying True Glow TFO Pros for one of my other firearms,
Mm-hmm.
and I love them. So that's what's going on.
That's what's going on that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have to amend our previous episode.
You might
Go back and edit, do a little editing. Daniel, you've been, I saw pictures, you were out shooting IDPA.
Yeah, I just, supporting some of my friends in the club that I belong to,
Right.
and good bunch of guys, and they tend to come up with some rather creative stages. A lot of kick the door open, engage 4 or 5 targets, swingers out from behind barrels, and weave on down through a bunch of no shoots, and this kind of thing. So I mean, it's like you want to get a good sleep the night before, and and have a clear head, because or oh man, there's 10 points down, not for missing a target.
Right. What's the name of the club and where is it? Because I have some friends that are still shooting IDPA down eastern part of the state. I'm trying to remember.
Charlotte Rifle and Pistol Club.
Not the Wildlife Club, right? Or is this a different one?
It's a different one. Okay. Mecklenburg Wildlife is still out there, and they still shooting IDPA. We have just developed a piece of property into what we call the action shooting facility,
right?
Which is a standard looking IDPA setup,
right?
High berms, this kind of thing,
right?
So our IDPA program is just kind of nicely getting going, pretty much got the wrinkles out in our trotting down the road pretty good.
Right. Good deal. Awesome. Donnie's back with us. Haven't seen you in a couple of months. How are you, sir? Let me see if we can unmute you somehow. Just to unmute. There we go.
You got me?
Gotcha. There you are.
I'm doing okay. If you haven't guessed, Peter from White Bear Lake is my son, and he really needs to be changed to Seminarian Peter from St. Louis. So
okay, awesome.
So he's a first-year seminary student there, and he's.
I'm going to update the list.
yeah. So we're going to go down in about 3 weeks, and he's got a week break, and then we're going to drive down to Nashville, pick up a bucket list license item, and go to the Grand Ole Opry. I've upgraded my drink tonight. This is some 16-year-old scotch.
Ooh.
That we got for a present for our 25th wedding anniversary.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Yeah. So I've not been getting the invites, and thanks to Pastor Bennett, he got me one. I'm a little late getting on because we had a customer at work that stayed half hour after close, and I had to wait till I checked him out. So,
Gotcha.
but fortunately, it's only about 3 miles, 7 minutes home from where I work now. So, no longer selling firearms. I'm selling office equipment.
I see. We see from the shirt. I wondered.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's my company. Yeah, I didn't have chance to change it, but tomorrow morning I hope to be out at first light with my crossbow and see if I can get a little meat for the.
There we go.
Freezer. Then the first part of November, I'll be headed out to Montana for a week to meet a friend. I get half price non-resident licenses in Montana.
Okay.
And don't have to go through the quota system because I'm guaranteed a license every year. And so I let him buy the elk license because even half price non-residents are pretty expensive. The resident licenses for senior, you can get the whole thing: elk, deer,
Mia sent me
fishing,
something.
birds for like $70, $75 for a senior. So
Mia's up in Montana, and that's the reason she is not with us tonight, I think. Let me see if I can find that message. She was going up there to find out about, apparently Colorado has introduced a law that's they're going to reintroduce wolves into the wild in Colorado, and she is in Montana to find out how they're dealing with it.
Well, there is a season on them in Montana.
Can't remember what she said she was doing that. So she was hoping to come, but she's, I think, got more important things she's trying to figure out, and hopefully we'll have some interesting stuff to report on in a future episode as well.
So anyway, I'll be headed out there, and I hunt with a friend there, and been out shooting at the range, shooting my 7 mag and my 257 Roberts. I got them zeroed in pretty good at 150 yards. Took my muzzle loader along, but forgot to take the little box with the primers, powder,
kind of important.
And bullets, So that didn't work very good. But the goal is I can buy some over-the-counter B tags for whitetail, antlerless whitetail.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope to maybe get one of those with either my muzzle loader or my 1915 model 1894 30-30 Winchester that I restored. So
cool.
That's kind of what's going on in the shooting front here, but doing the volunteering at the range to get the reduced rate too. The last Saturday and this Saturday.
Cool. All right. All right. Before we, the one thing I wanted to ask, all right, for those of you who have to skip early, how much more time have I got? I know 2 of the pastors.
I got to get going too. I've got a computer that I have to repair for the kids at school.
Okay, so quick. So I'll get to the big question, and you can answer 2 of them at once, and you'll go first. So, what are you drinking tonight? That'll be the first question.
I'm drinking.
Ooh.
Oh, that's mirrored.
Oh,
Glenlivet Nadura. It's a small batch cask strength. You don't want, this is one where you don't want to drink it straight. Throw a few ice cubes in there and let them melt. It's 60% alcohol, so it's really good. I got it as a gift, and it's good stuff.
Very nice. All right, the big question that I'm going to go around the room to ask is, how did you become a gun guy? What was your introduction to guns?
43.
For me, it was friends at seminary.
96%.
Oh.
I'd always been interested in them, but my second year at seminary, I had some I made some friends in the dorm that were first year guys, and they were shooters, and they took me out shooting, and I was hooked.
That's all it takes. All right, cool. All right, let's see. Guillaume, I know you've got to bounce early, so let's get to you next. What are you?
Well,
no,
I'm just drinking Diet Pepsi today.
And I'm drinking water.
I used to drink.
How exotic.
I used to drink Coke Zero, but I'm boycotting Coke. So.
Coca-Cola.
What did they do today?
Oh, it's apparently I'm too white to drink Coke. So.
Oh. Well.
But my introduction to firearms was I guess was as a kid, and going out and shooting the 22 and shooting skeet with my dad, and then basically when I got my first firearm during the Clinton administration, like many people, Democrats always drive up gun sales.
Right. Bill Clinton was your gun salesman?
Yeah, Bill Clinton was my first gun salesman. Then Obama was my second. So,
and they have a tendency of doing that.
Yeah.
All right, William, how about you? What are you imbibing this evening?
I don't know whether you can see that. Jefferson's. It's a small batch.
Another good one.
It's very nice. Yeah. I don't know if you can see that at all, but it's got a nice etching or printing of
Thomas Jefferson.
In the back. It's very nice. First time we had that was up in Philadelphia, but it's out of Kentucky. And going local, this is the Atlantic Brewing Company Cole Porter. But at dinner, I had a Guinness because it's Guinness. It's the best beer you're ever going to shoot. So, what got me into guns? Always into guns in some way, but wasn't interested in carry or anything like that. Then I got married. It was weird. When I got married, I was like, I really should have something around the house because I didn't have anything. Had 22s growing up, had BB guns, and did Boy Scout shooting and went shooting with my buddy's dad, who was an FFL, and we'd go and just tear up the mountainside, but didn't really feel the need. So I went and finally got my first pistol. My brother gave me my first pistol, actually. And then I went and bought a Glock year and a half, 2 years later. And then we got pregnant with our first kid, and I was like, no, I need something around. There was the weirdest thing was I had lived in a county in California where I could have gotten a carry permit, but I didn't care at the time. It wasn't like it was a pressing issue. And then lo and behold, I get married and I'm living in a bastion of craziness. And there's no way I could have gotten one, even, unless I was a jeweler or something. Because of course if you carry lots of money or jewels, that's important enough to get a permit. But, but not your family. No, family's that's just an afterthought apparently. So, but that's what really got me into it. Like it started to matter to me. I started to seek out information, started listening to podcasts, got into the Gun Dudes podcast, those, wackos up in Utah. They carried it on as the SX3 podcast for a while. Now they're the Concealed Taco Dudes podcast.
Are they back together?
Jason Christensen, the holster guy.
Yep.
He does it with a guy named Mike. His name he's got a YouTube channel. The what was it? Taco. I think he just called himself Taco. I don't even know what his name is. Taco 001 or something. I don't know. But he's got a reloading channel. And that he does on YouTube, and they got together, and the two of them really carried it forward. Every once in a while they'll have Stan on, and Carl will come back every so often. The main host of the original podcast, he almost died from COVID.
Oh wow!
He had it real bad. He was in a coma for more than a month. But started listening to them way back in the day, and started doing my own research. Finally, this year, took a class from Masad Ayub. I feel like that's a huge check mark off my bucket list.
Yep.
But it was having the family and other people that weren't me to care for and to protect that really kind of got the fire under my butt.
Yeah. The light goes off and you're like, oh yeah, I probably need to have something to protect me. Yeah. For me,
I don't really care if I die,
that.
But
yeah.
Now I've got people depending on me. So it's kind of more important. And that's where it all stemmed from for me.
Yep. Yeah. Same way, because I grew up with, 22 rifles and that kind of stuff, just plinking around the farm that I grew up on. And then I get married, and my wife was working as a mental health therapist. And in the middle of the night, one of her patients shows up, and all I have is a claw hammer and an unloaded 22 rifle. Yeah. Fortunately, he didn't get in the house, or he would have gotten brained with one or the other of those things. But
wow,
I didn't have anything else. And that was sort of like, that's what started the wheels turning. Like, okay, maybe I ought to be more prepared than this. Justin, how about you? What are we drinking tonight? I saw something earlier.
Yes. We're doing got a porter tonight. Let's see if I can get this in. So it is called The Devil Made Me. It is by Adroit Theory out of Virginia. It is a red wine finished rye whiskey barrel aged porter with smoked serrano peppers.
And a kitchen sink for good measure.
What else is it there? Right.
The bottle handy.
So what?
Battery acid.
So what do you think? Is it good?
It's very good. It's if you ever had like Mexican hot chocolate, so like the hot chocolate with like the spiced chili peppers in it, that's exactly what it tastes like.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's really good. But then again, I'm a big spice guy. So.
All right.
And then onto the other question. Yeah, I've always been around firearms. I mean, I'm only 2 generations removed from just hill people, farmers. Learned to grew up, learned to shoot on grandpa's farm, little Ruger 22 revolvers. It wasn't anything to see grandpa just grab his 22 Magnum and pop groundhogs in the yard because he didn't like them, messing up his mowing.
Right.
But yeah, just kind of, it's always been part of my zeitgeist. And I bought my my first AR when I turned 18. That was a Rock River Arms, and then just I've built out from that. I actually still have that rifle, and more have been added.
We won't ask how many. We don't. If somebody on social media will probably report us.
Yeah.
Very cool. David, how about yourself? What are you drinking this evening? And your selections have been, how shall we say? Oh wait. Okay. Yosemite Sam. All right. What was in the Yosemite Sam glass tonight? They've been rather tame selections the last couple of months. So.
Yeah, well, I live on the more tame side of that, but the V8 with heavily dosed with chili lime hot sauce.
Ooh, I was gonna ask if that was a Bloody Mary, but is it? It's close. All right. Second question.
Like Justin, the family has farm roots. So my grandpa taught me to shoot on a Winchester 67 single shot bolt action 22. I have one in better shape than his in my safe. My brother has the original.
All right.
So learned that, but it became a practical reality. My wife worked in an area, a rather unsavory area of Atlanta, and one day she just was, that something went bump and she didn't like it. And so I was always in favor of it. Work friends were involved in it, a lot of 2A stuff and competitions. And so it was sort of a natural evolution. First one in the second wave of firearms was a Glock 19.
Not a bad choice. Not a bad choice at all. All right.
Thereby the competitions.
Right.
We found out that it was less expensive to compete, and you got more instruction at competitions than you did by just going to the range by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we didn't know any instructors at that time, and so we just got coached by 50 to 100 competition shooters.
Right.
Worked out really well.
Watch other people, see what they do. Get the amount of information you can pick up at one of those kinds of matches. Just if you're open to talking to people, which I have a horrible time doing, you would be surprised. It's why I do podcasts, so I don't have to actually look at people. So you guys are helping me get out of my shell a bit. But the amount of information that just gets kicked around and just standing around waiting to shoot is amazing. And watching other people and the way they prepare and how they use their gear. Competition is a great, and plus once you've had to try to perform on the clock and that buzzer goes off and you're like, you may think you know what you're doing, but especially for me, it was several years of buzzer would go off and it's just like, okay, what am I doing? What do I do next? Buzzer brain, bad. And just the repetition that you get, the preparation for those sorts of situations where, okay, once you've been in that situation, you know how to handle yourself, and it's not as daunting. At first, it's horrible.
My original career is as a musician. So when the buzzer goes off, I'm fine. I love it. Put me in, coach. Let's play.
Right.
So let's rock and roll. But so many of those competition people now are great friends. We go to a match and it's like, hi, how you been? What you been up to? It's a great community. These are wonderful, normal people. And by the way, for the other ministers out there are quite a few ministers in that world, especially in the Glock world.
Yep. Mike, how about you? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
No. By the way, I was a church musician.
Okay.
So
very good. All right,
still
Mike, your turn. What are you drinking tonight? Did you come prepared?
I'm drinking something from South America. It's called Pisco. You know what it is? It's a hard alcohol from Chile.
Ooh.
Which has flew 6,000 miles back with me.
All right. What could you compare it to for those of us who have never indulged in that? Or even
it's made from grapes. So it's kind of like it's just fermented grapes. It's not really a whiskey. It's kind of hard to describe.
Is it distilled?
Yeah. So,
it's kind of closer to an unaged brandy, rocky Iraq. Like there's a whole bunch of different. Hey, we fermented some grapes and distilled it.
The larger category, right, is just a grappa.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I think so.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Let's just say I brought it back on a trip, actually, a couple. So
nice.
I use it for. I know you guys drink interesting stuff, so I thought I'd get up the most interesting thing I have.
Nicely played. Well played.
Normally,
you doing it neat, or are you doing a pisco sour? Or
nope, I didn't have time to get anything else, so it's straight up on the rocks.
All right.
And the South Americans have interesting drinks, like the Argentinians with like Fernet and Coke. So,
okay.
You had a pisco sour?
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, very, very good. Yep.
All right.
So
yeah. There's one I probably won't be able to find at my local liquor store, so I'm not going to write that one down.
Well, you can find it. It's just probably not as well aged.
Oh, okay.
Because I have found it at actually in Minnesota, but they have a different name called Capel. But this one's called by name called Mistral. The aged versions I have not found up here yet, but I have found the more straight up aged version. So they are around.
Okay.
Well,
I'll have to keep an eye out for that then. I'll give that a try. Okay. So what was your introduction to firearms?
I grew up on a farm, and so I learned to shoot 22 when I was a kid. As I got older, my dad taught me how to shoot the shotgun to take care of any rodents that would come around. He'd always say, if you saw a skunk, a possum, a raccoon out in the middle of the day, make sure it doesn't get away, because it's not supposed to be out during the middle of the day.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that's how I learned how to do that. And the comment earlier about, Clinton was the, for buying the first gun. Obama was probably me when I was older to actually go out and purchase something that I hadn't inherited. So
okay. What was the first purchase?
A Springfield XD9, and then it just went from there. I learned what I liked and I don't like. And
was the Springfield XD9 one of them? Because there's a lot of people.
You had a lot of room to go up.
So
there's a lot of people who made that choice, and
it's actually not. I actually shoot it fairly well. It's kind of interesting. If I am having a bad day with my 1911, I can pull that out and shoot with that, and I'll do just fine. If I'm having a bad day with that, I'll pull out the Kimber and go to town.
Okay.
So, I have a broad spectrum of tastes and things. So, but now I know what I do like and I don't like. And as I've gotten older and can afford more, the guy I buy most of my firearms says, he goes, you know what you like, buy what you like, you're not going to be happy. And he's absolutely right.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Pastor Freeman, how about you?
So I am drinking it's called North Fork Rye. It is a rye whiskey from a boutique distillery in Montana, little town called Coram, just outside of Glacier National Park, Glacier Distilling, and it's rapidly becoming one of my favorite whiskeys.
Nice. North Fork. Okay.
And North Fork Rye. I'm pretty sure the Montana boutique distillery laws won't allow them to export it, so you can't get it anywhere outside of Montana. Thankfully, I now have a daughter who lives there, so I have a ready supply.
She knows what to bring home. Okay.
She knows what Dad wants for Christmas.
Well, that's easy. Okay. So what was your introduction to firearms?
Oh, so growing up, there were firearms of sorts in the home. We had 22s and air rifles and that sort of thing. But it really was I grew up in the outdoors, but my outdoors experience was all around a fishing rod. And when I got to Montana, where when I called from the seminary to a dual parish in Southwest Montana, and some of the old timers are like, "Pastor, you're going hunting with us, right?"
I guess so.
Sure, why not? Somebody got a rifle I can borrow? So that's where it began. And then when I came to the People's Republic of Washington, I joined the local pistol and rifle club because I wanted someplace to teach my kids to shoot safely, and quickly got railroaded into being the treasurer of the club. So I was immersed in the culture of the gun club, and that was kind of all she wrote. So, and wife and kids, and started carrying concealed, and that's where that all began. So,
gotcha. And you're in Chehalis, right?
Chehalis, yeah. It's rural Western Washington, where the county seat of the only red county in Western Washington.
Isn't
one of those that wants to join Idaho?
Yeah, well, yeah, we're a long ways from Idaho, but yeah,
it'd be an exclave of Idaho. what? There's something else. What is it? There's something gun related in Chehalis. Is it Armed Citizens Legal Defense Fund, or is
Oh
it?
yeah, they're just out. So they're actually up in Alaska. But yeah, the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network. The Seattle Firearms Academy is just up the road from us.
Okay.
In Onalaska, Washington, which is just a little bit east of us in the
And
same county.
Second Amendment Foundation in Washington too.
They're up in I mean, they're
in-
right in the belly of the beast. They're in Bellevue, just outside of Seattle.
I'm going down to give a presentation at GRPC. Well, it's AmCon, which is the alternative mass media convention that they put on the day before GRPC starts. The Gun Rights Policy Conference is in Dallas this weekend again, and I haven't been since it was here in Dallas in 2017, and so I'll be down there this weekend checking things out, seeing the sites and the folks, and seeing what's going on. But it's an interesting that those groups are right there in the middle of what you would consider enemy territory.
Well, and Washington is kind of totally and completely schizophrenic because we've got all kinds of stupid gun laws, but at the same time, they've been shall issue for I don't know how long, and there are absolutely no requirements. There's no training requirements. There's that you go, you pay your money, you get your permit. So we're totally schizophrenic.
That is
it's one of the easiest states in the union to get a concealed
Can you
carry
get a
permit.
non-resident permit there?
You can, but non-residents are may issue. You have to convince somebody that you need one, and Oregon is the same way. Oregon is shall issue for residents. I grew up in Oregon. Shall issue for residents and may issue for non-residents. So
you talk about a bunch of crazy gun nuts or anti-gun nuts, and that Oregon is, man.
Yeah. Yep.
They even get all the churches involved. And you probably, if you've heard one of my favorite episodes of all time.
You mean the heathens?
Huh?
No, never mind. I said, you mean the heathens?
Yeah.
Usually if they're off the rails on this topic, there's a number of theological issues they happen to be. Not that they're parallel, or not that they're one and the same, but there tends to be like a, I don't know.
It's a syncretic bunch led by a Lutheran pastor. I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head.
Lutheran, like
yeah.
Like you're Lutheran,
not my kind of Lutheran.
Not our Lutheran.
When I lived in the Phoenix area, I was in Mesa, Arizona, and the Lutheran church I drove past, getting home, had a great big rainbow flag, and I'm not talking about Noah's Ark. So
yeah, it's that kind of Lutheran.
But it was a Lutheran church, so I was like, Luther would be rolling in his grave to see that.
I cannot remember that. Yes. Okay. Episode 126. Where social justice and peace kiss. This is Mark Knudsen from Augustana Lutheran Church in Portland, and he is the head of a kind of a multi-denominational group of anti-gun nuts so it includes so it's Lutherans, Methodists, Episcopals, the usual suspects, Catholics, Jews, liberal Jews, of course, and some other something. And yeah, they hold these press. They are always at the forefront pushing whatever it is that is the thing that everybody wants banned. They're at the forefront of pushing it. And it's we did a whole, because they did a big press conference. They launched this campaign a few years ago called Lift Every Voice, where they were trying to get everybody involved in banning high capacity magazines and assault weapons. And so they had this big press conference, and we got the audio from it and dissected it. So if you haven't heard it, go check it out if you're a newer member.
Some of the old stuff is great to listen to. I mean, I've gone back to like only the double digit stuff.
I miss some of that stuff because they don't do that as much anymore. Most of the stuff that we come across now is almost entirely political. They used to at least try to make an argument from scripture. They don't even put forth the effort anymore. It's all politics. And we've dissected so many of those things in the past, and there's a ton of them that we never got to, but they're now irrelevant because all the things that they were pushing are no longer even a thing anymore. Rob Schenck, I don't know whether if you haven't heard the episodes where we dissected a bunch of Rob Schenck stuff, the Armor of Light guy. He's a non-denom Baptist. I think he's a Baptist pastor. He was like religious counselor to, like, I think the Clintons and to, I want to say, Obama, but he supposedly is conservative, but he's all in for gun control. And of course, that made him a big star in the media because here's a Christian conservative who is pushing gun control, supposedly Christian conservative. And his group isn't even around anymore. All of their websites, I went back through some of that stuff the other day and was looking for their stuff just to see if he had anything new. He doesn't have anything at all. His entire organization, the Armor of Light, is gone. So, oh well, that's a win. That's a win for us as gun rights folks. It's a loss for us as armed Lutheran commentators.
Yeah, I mean that's what actually brought me into the podcast was y'all fisking sermons like that, and it's like, yeah, I think I can listen to these guys.
Those were fun. Ed has been with us for you've been a supporter for a long time. You've heard all of probably a bunch of the old stuff as well. What are you drinking tonight, by the way, since this is your inaugural appearance on the monthly online hangouts? What's your beverage of choice, and what was your introduction to firearms?
The beverage is fairly tame tonight.
Still good.
It's a good one, yeah.
In an appropriate receptacle, of course.
Of course.
Perfect.
As far as introduction, I grew up in the city of Chicago, and not the metropolitan area.
Okay.
Most big cities are really just the 1- and 2-story neighborhoods that you could see in any small or medium-sized town anywhere. You just have that dense metropolitan area with the skyscrapers.
Right.
So whether it looks like Minneapolis or any place throughout the Midwest, a place like that, bungalows and 2-story apartment buildings, the brownstones,
right,
fairly sedate. But since I was not a drug runner or a gang member, and being in Chicago, no guns. So not part of the family culture or anything like that. But I credit the family for filling in the rest of the picture around it and making it so when I was introduced to firearms, it was a very logical fit. Both my parents grew up in Central Europe during World War II.
Okay.
That part doesn't get much talk in the history books and stuff. It's all about Western Europe. In Central Europe, in particular, where my dad was, it was in Yugoslavia, a country that doesn't even exist anymore.
Right.
It's Serbia now, the northern part of what was Yugoslavia. His entire village became an internment camp.
Oh.
Everyone was disarmed, no surprise, and they could only survive based on what they grew and what animals they could produce. But there was nothing coming in, nothing coming out. Basically, they were too German for the locals, but not German enough for the Nazis. They were colonists from the Austro-Hungarian Empire a couple generations ago.
Oh,
so
okay.
Eluded and intermarried with the gypsies and all that nasty kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. They were not, yeah.
And
not pure enough.
When they came over here to the US, they said, we are not going to go hungry again. And they were basically preppers of necessity. And still growing up at home, my grandmother made soap. canned all the food. We were active garden, had a rabbit hutch in the backyard, traded with chickens, neighbors who raised chickens next door, all that kind of stuff. So kind of a ingrained prepper mentality, but with a good narrative coming to it, not just the fear-mongering. They actually lived it. So when I joined the Navy right after high school, that's what introduced the firearms, and just fell in love with the standard service pistol, the U.S. government 1911 45 cal, and qualified on it, trained on it. That's still my favorite. I still have this mental block whenever I try to work with a pistol that switches between dual action and then single action. And that just messes with me so much. That 1911 is in my DNA. So I'm going to see if maybe I can't trade that Maxim shotgun I want for maybe 1 or 2 service pulls or a decent quality, 45 for another pistol. Just again, in my circumstances, I'm not getting out doing much sports related shooting. But if I can get something smaller, take it out to some of the local ranges, keep up my proficiency with that, add it to the few other things I have in my arsenal. People's Republic of Illinois, right? That would be good. But yeah, the military got me to the firearms, and that was a real good fit. No heebie-jeebies about them, because I was on subs with nuclear missiles and nuclear power. Firearms, nothing.
Some things in there don't react well to bullets.
Yes. There was that.
Well, once you've been around the nuclear missiles, it's kind of desensitizing as far as being scared of firearms. I imagine.
Did you ever run across Dennis Hewley when you were in the service?
Does not ring a bell.
No, he was a sub captain, and now is an LCMS pastor out here in the Northwest.
Oh.
Okay, sometimes it's as simple as what coast you served on, or within the submarine community, we have a couple different flavors of subs, and you tend to stay within your own community, kind of like Texas versus Oklahoma or Ford versus Chevy.
Oh God, it's that bad?
They're our people. So.
Okay.
That sounds like a horrible rivalry. Texas, Oklahoma is just the worst. I thought Duke and North Carolina were bad. It's horrible.
Well, we make fun of them. They make fun of us. It's standard stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
But all in good fun, I suppose, right?
We're united, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we'll just pick on the Marines.
Right. All right, Donnie, what about you? What are you drinking tonight? I know you didn't have a whole lot of time to prep as you were coming home from work. Ooh, what do you got? Oh, he's muted. Hang on. Let us unmute you here. Or ask.
I think it's the kind of mute he has to unmute on his side.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, now you can hear me.
Yeah. What you got?
Langvergulen.
Langvergulen.
Yeah. I'd like, we got it for a 25th wedding anniversary. So first time I've drank scotch, and I really like this one. I will tell that I know where Coram, Montana is. It's in the same county I'm from. I'm actually, I was recently out to Montana first part of August for my 50th class reunion. 1972 graduate of Flathead High School.
All right.
So Coram is well known. We were through there on the train going and coming. So
Now, you keep saying that you were up in Montana. I thought you lived in Montana. I introduce you every few weeks as Donnie from White Bear Lake. Are you actually living on White Bear Lake at the moment?
White Bear Lake is a town in Minnesota.
Oh, that's Minnesota.
Yeah. It's the.
We've got another member from Montana,
though. St. Paul suburb.
Gotcha.
So, So.
White Bear Lake sounds like something in Montana. I don't know why.
It's Whitefish Lake in Montana.
Okay, that's what I. Okay.
And the big lake is Flathead, which I fished I fished when I was up there the last time, and we ended up with 13 lake trout out of there.
I should be
So-
careful. I'm geographically illiterate. I need to be careful about this.
For the pastors here, we were members of Trinity Kalispell, which is again the largest LCMS church in Montana. So I grew up. Dad had some 22s. We started shooting ground squirrels, Columbia ground squirrels, which was fun. And then the grouse. And when I turned 13, I got a 270 rifle. And I still have it. My last deer I shot was with that one. But
Nice.
that was the start. Grew up hunting, got really hooked on it. When I was a junior in high school, I actually shot a moose, which now is a one-time, if you get drawn, that's your one chance. So opening day, I got one, pulled it in the truck hole because it walked up a hill, which made a nice little loading dock into the pickup truck.
Awesome.
And then I took and went to college in northwestern Iowa, which kind of put a damp on the hunting for a few years, and got back in it again. And then in 2010, I went to work as a firearms salesman, and I did that until the company went bankrupt in 2017.
Oh.
And he was off for a few months, and then the new company went in, and the new owner of the company did not like firearms and took them out a year ago.
What?
So, Camping World got rid of all the firearms in their stores, which probably doesn't surprise you if you know anything about.
No, now that you mentioned, no, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
So didn't work for a few months. I am basically a kept man. My wife is a research scientist for an international dairy food company. She hunts too, and up until recently, she had the largest deer in the family. But I at least tied it in 2019.
At least in size.
Yeah. So our son hunts. He's not got a deer yet, but he's got a trophy turkey. He's hoping that we'll move back there in time that he can get a resident license so he can qualify for the native program.
Where did you say he was? All right, he's going to St. Louis, right?
He's at Concordia Seminary, St. Louis. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So when I went to work for the firearms company, the first gun I bought was a Kimber Ultra TLE. I love 45 caliber. And then the nice thing about being a firearms salesman, at least it used to be, because I got 6 Rugers that I'd earn enough points selling them. So I ended up getting LCP. I got an LCR.
All the LCs.
Yeah. I got a Ruger American in 260 caliber, which that's what I got the big deer with. I got a 7 Rem mag, a Remington in a store contest. Of course, a 1022 and an SR22. So I loaded up on firearms. I've got a muzzle loader, and then I bought and restored the 1894. And a friend brought it over. He says, "What do you think of this?" And I said, "Would you take $1,000 for it?" And he bid on it. It will be an ordination present for my son.
Very nice.
He shot it and likes it. So we've got a safe full of them, and when he gets at least a vicarage, we are hoping to move back to Montana and get out of the People's Republic of Minnesota. And
but you'll be at an inner city parish. You just know it. It'll be
you'll probably go to California, you know.
Right. It'll be your luck.
Yeah. And the chances of him getting in Montana are probably pretty slim. But he would love to be there, but we don't know what's going to happen. We're hoping maybe he'll get married before he gets out of seminary.
Okay.
So because one of your other people said I am also a ham radio operator. KJ7IZ is my call sign. I'm an extra class, and I got a handicapped son in Montana too, and a 91-year-old mom. So that's good reasons to move back there. So
definitely.
But that's how I got into it, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm a member of a local gun club, and if I work 8 hours a year there, range officer mainly, I get $320 off my dues. So that's kind of nice.
Good deal.
It's really nice.
Daniel, how about you? What are you drinking tonight? Get you unmuted. There we go.
It would be a Kentucky whiskey, a rye whiskey from the Bullet Glass. Elijah Craig.
Okay.
And awesome. Heaven's Hill.
Yeah, it's kind of a standard Kentucky whiskey.
Yep.
Okay. To the site, the Bullet Glass.
Yep.
I like that.
So what was your introduction to firearms?
I grew up in Michigan, which is a culture of hunting and fishing in the Great Lakes area, raised by World War II people. And, grouse hunting and deer hunting were, the family thing in the fall. Okay. Got to be a teenager, late teen, early 20s, and was racing motorcycles and racing cars, and then kind of moved on from there because it was college and racing cars. You really can't afford them both. And no one was going to pay for either one except me, so I had to pick. But
did you have to sell the motorcycles to pay for college?
Yes, I did.
That sucks.
Yeah. But I was mountain climbing at the time also, so every bit of like vacation time that you could get, it was like, Alberta, British Columbia, this kind of thing with buddies. And I've always been kind of the outdoor guy. Okay. In my 20s, I got involved with rifle matches, was shooting a high power silhouette at the time, which is still just nothing but fun, medium center fire rifle stuff, 550 meters off the shoulder. And that was going on at the Michigan National Guard base in Grayling, Michigan.
Okay.
Got into the building business. Poverty set in. Moved to North Carolina. Got involved with the military matches and high power rifle.
Okay.
And
that's one thing I have not tried, but it looks like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. And it's exposure to a part of the military that most civilians don't get exposed to. Okay, um, the Army Marksmanship Training Unit, the Marine Corps Marksmanship Training Unit. Um, you know, anybody that can hold a rifle in the military and is halfway good at it shows up at Camp Perry at the national matches.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there's no handicaps there, you know. Yeah, I mean, civilian, military, uh, you know, it's shoulder to shoulder. You know where you stand. You know, because pretty much the best people in the world kind of show up there. There's people from England, people from Australia, you know, our friends south of the border, all of that.
Right.
Finally ended up getting the Distinguished Rifleman's Medal. And you know, still dabble in it a little bit. You know, had to back off from it. Life changes, raising children, you know, 20 some years deep in the Boy Scouts, you know, that kind of curtailed some of that stuff.
Right.
You know, one thing that's always followed me from a teenager and youth group to being the junior warden at the church, you know, people find out you're a gun guy, right? And it's like, oh my God, Dan is a gun guy, and he's such a nice guy, you know.
As if one precludes the other, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you know, right now, you know, I'm, you know, some of my friends from the high power days and a couple of family members and stuff. We're just kind of dabbling around at IDPA and mostly USPSA type of shooting.
Right.
You know, but you know, without getting, you know, just, you know, drooling, you know, super involved in it, you know. You know, we show up for some matches, and I help with a club match, you know, our local club match.
Cool. I've got to get back into that. I haven't done that in ages. Yonks, as they say over the pond. I have.
Yeah.
It's been 2 years since I've pulled the trigger on any firearm. That's pretty sad. I've got to get out to the range.
Oh, so, and you're the armed Lutheran.
I know.
You know,
I'm armed, but I don't actually use my arms. So I need to take these arms take these arms out to the range and put a gun at the end of them and practice, because I'm sure I'm incredibly rusty, and I've got people at church who keep telling me, you got to get to the range. I'll take you to the range. So yeah, but volleyball has been eating my life because my daughters, I'm running into the sort of thing that Pastor Bennett's run into. And my daughter only started like 2 years ago, and she's playing with girls that have been playing since they were like 6, and she's really good. And so she made the A team at middle school, and all of her friends who have been playing for years made the B team. And so that's kind of a little awkward, and we're playing club and all this stuff. And she got an invitation to join one of the national teams. And it was just like, oh crap. Oh,
man, gosh. There you go.
So,
well, having been through those milestones in life, it's the best time.
I'm not going to miss a minute of it. So yeah, because I don't want to look back and say, yeah, I was working on something else, or I was at the range, or I was, you know, I don't want to look back and say I could have been there, but I wasn't. So that's what's taken most of my weekends and that sort of thing. So at some point I will get to the range. Guys, it is almost what time is it? Holy cow. We've been going
I've got a bug out. 5:30 comes real early.
Indeed it does. All right.
It's almost 11 here right now.
Right. It's going on 10. So we've been at it for a while and it's been a lot of fun. This is the biggest meeting that we've had yet.
No joke.
Wednesdays are the thing until Advent hits and then Lent comes around. So we'll have to figure out what day is going to work during Advent, but that we've got some time to plan. So guys, thank you all so much for taking the time to hang out tonight. And if you did not, I think a couple of you mentioned that you did not see the invitation. Ping me after and remind me of that. So I will check my mailing lists and make sure that your names are in the right place. Unfortunately,
on Facebook, I saw it in my email. So,
okay, good.
Well done.
Because that is all a manual process, unfortunately. So I'm sort of having to sync up the membership list and the mailing list to make sure.
I got two, one for August and one for September, back to back.
I probably. Yeah.
Pastor Bennett sent me one right at the last minute.
Robert Brockerman, who is not here tonight, sent me a message and said, I got the one that said August. It's like, okay. So I immediately went and changed the subject and sent it out again. It was the same invitation.
It's the same link.
I just repurposed the message that went out last month and just changed the invitation and then didn't check the subject. I was like, okay. I'll make me a little sticky note and remind me to check that next month. So thank you guys. And thank you for all the fun drink suggestions, and God bless you all. And we'll talk to you again next month for the October hangout. It'll be Reformation time about the time we do this again. So God bless.
Reformation time.
Yep. God bless all you guys, and have a great night, and I will see you next time.
Grace and peace to y'all.
Yeah. Good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Good.